Hi everyone! Thank you so much for joining us, and today we'll be speaking to Dawn Bowie, a Total Attorneys client who's also an advocate for virtual law office technology and unbundled legal services in the state of Maryland. Dawn also practices full service representation and uses the virtual law office to communicate with both her full service representation clients as well as delivering unbundled legal services securely online. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for asking me. First of all, just to clarify a couple of things, I'm not an expert in anything. And in Maryland, we are specifically not supposed to use that. It's a bad word. But I certainly have been working on launching an unbundled service line of business for my practice for about 2 years.
Today we're going to go through a couple questions about your practice. And let's get started with, when did you decide to go virtual with your practice? Were you working in a brick and mortar firm, or was there a life event that really made you decide to bring a portion or all of your practice online?
Well, I had been using the internet as my primary marketing source for a while, and I bought a house with a home office, which is where I'm sitting today. And I'm very interested in working outside my immediate jurisdiction in Maryland, and I have found that having a virtual law office really has brought in a lot of clients from other counties in the state of Maryland. I actually started subscribed to VLO when I realized that this market for unbundled legal services was really such a huge opportunity, and I saw the virtual office as being a seamless way to integrate those services for people with self-represented family cases all over Maryland.
How does your typical workday differ now that you use virtual law office technology compared to when you were working in a traditional firm?
One of the things that we've been developing recently is we're really focusing on an ideal client. And the virtual law office gives us the opportunity to interact with people before we spend the time and sit down and talk with someone, so that we can do a little pre-screening to find out if people really are the ideal client for us. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, because this is an internet-based service, we've gotten clients from all over the United States who have cases in the state of Maryland.
Oh, wow. So that's a unique opportunity to be able to work with people in other states or other jurisdictions. Have you found that you've also grown your professional network as well, whether it's speaking to attorneys who practice in other states about the new type of practice that you're building, or just creating a larger network for referrals?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I don't know about referrals. Family law is a very localized practice, even within a state. But I certainly have enjoyed getting to know members of the bar in other parts of Maryland, and really around the United States. Susan Cartier-Liebel is the person who really introduced me to Stephanie Kimbrough, and through her contacts, I've gotten to know people like Lee Rosen and Mark Chin, and it's wonderful to talk to other lawyers who do family law throughout the United States. Yeah, thanks.
And are there certain features, such as document sharing or the online discussions with your clients, that have allowed you to better qualify? Like you talked about really achieving that ideal client or working with your ideal clients. Do you think that technology allows you to filter through potential clients faster, or to have that process be a little bit quicker because of the technology?
Yes, and one of the things that has always been true with VLO, and I'm very excited about the beta version, is that I've been able to create forms that I send to a potential client. They're online forms, and the client fills them out. And it really saves me a lot. I can't tell you how many times I would schedule initial office conferences with clients and then they wouldn't show up, or they'd show up without their checkbook, or they conveniently forgot, that there was a fee for my initial consult. The forms that I've designed give people all that information up front. So if they're really not interested, they don't respond. And I don't spend a lot of time tracking them down. I have a kind of process that I use where there are a couple of contacts, and then I just move on to the next potential client. The other thing that's really nice is that family law, at least in my state, is very document intensive. And the VLO allows me to upload PDF fillable forms that clients can fill in and then return to their personal homepage completed. And it saves a lot of time, arranging for a meeting, sitting down, going through it. As long as they fill it in, I can call them. I do a lot of work on the telephone with clients. So I would say that it's saved both of us a tremendous amount of time. They don't have to leave work. They don't have to find babysitters. As long as they have a computer or a telephone, they're good.
How has invoicing and accepting online payments impacted your ability to collect fees?
Initial office conferences are usually a fixed amount that is payable in advance. That's my policy. That way I don't get stuck with spending an hour or more with a client and not getting paid. That has been huge. However, it was kind of dicey at first. I don't bill by the hour. I use value pricing. Just recently, Total Attorneys offered the option of working with a vendor that allows client monies to be paid into the trust account without fees to that account. So that's been fantastic. But before that, it was kind of difficult because I can't really accept PayPal. I can't use PayPal really effectively for anything that has to be held for any period of time.
So for you, it's the ability to manage not only funds that should drop into an operating account, but into your IOLTA account as well. That's been the helpful piece.
Exactly.
And practicing virtually has allowed you to widen the area that you can practice in and speak to other attorneys in other states. What is most surprising about practicing online? Is there any one item that really kind of jumps out at you as being a benefit of using the technology that you didn't anticipate when you first started with it?
Is our audience other attorneys?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right. Speaking freely here. The most incredible thing to me has been, and anyone in family knows that sometimes you get less than ideal clients. And I think I've had, I don't know, maybe a couple of complaints since starting the virtual office. And it's fantastic because, of course, they always say, you didn't tell me this, or, I told you this, or I didn't want you to do that. And the VLO is a really convenient way of keeping a constant history of every transaction between you and the client. And in one case, I had like hundreds of messages between me and the client detailing everything that he wanted me to do. And so when he complained that he had wanted things differently, all I had to do was print out all the messages, and it was obvious that he had indeed been directing what he wanted me to do. So it was very helpful in that way.
Absolutely, having an audit trail of all of those conversations that's not scattered across email or phone messages, I could see being a great benefit, and also just a nice piece of insurance when it comes to malpractice.
Exactly.
Do you offer just unbundled services through the VLO, or do you also conduct all of your full service representation case management inside of the system as well?
Well, actually, the unbundled piece is very slow in coming. We have quite a bit of resistance in this state to that concept. We do have a proposed rule coming up this fall with our rules committee, but the traditional bar is not pleased about it. I started using VLO for my full service clients, even though I intended to use it for the unbundled portion of my business. It's been so helpful for my full service clients that, I've just pretty much used it in lieu of any other kind of communication mechanism with clients. And in fact, part of my engagement agreement says that They agree to keep their information, their ID information current, and they agree to make sure that they provide documents to me using the VLO. And most of them have really, really loved it. In its first iteration, it was kind of a little clunky for people with not a lot of technical experience to use. But what I'm very excited about is that the beta version is, once I start getting my unbundled business going, it's going to be really important for me to discriminate between DIY clients and full service clients. But all of them need to be in the same data bank so that I can do conflicts checks. And the new version looks like it's going to be great for keeping those separate so I can see at a glance who's who and what kind of case they have.
In one word, how would you say practicing virtually or having technology enabling your practice changed your life?
One word, I'm a lawyer.
Didn't say questions would be easy today.
Expanded everything, horizons, opportunities. Certainly it's been time efficient. It's just made a real difference in my ability to get my work done quickly. And certainly it's vastly improved my communications with clients.
Dawn, if you could look into a crystal ball, what do you see being the future for solo and small practitioners 5 years from now?
The way people practice law, even in urban areas like where I live right now, remains very, very traditional. In fact, I'm probably moving back to my county seat blocks from the courthouse pretty soon, because there is just something about being physically present around your colleagues and the judges. There's a benefit to that. But what I do see is a lot more collaboration between small firms and solos. And certainly the internet is going to make it possible. For example, my retirement plan, hopefully, knock on wood, is to, in 10 years, be able to move to the mountains of North Carolina, continue practicing my unbundled services, and take the North Carolina bar and be a small town lawyer until I drop dead. And I think those kind of opportunities that's what technology does for you, especially in areas where there is a lower attorney to citizen ratio. I think technology makes it fantastically wide open.
Absolutely, and just the ability to tailor your practice to how you want your life. I mean, it's a great example of the end goal that you have for your practice and where you personally want to be, whether it be where you want to live or the type of clients that you want to have, or just the hobbies that you'd like to be able to enjoy when you're not working a 12 or a 14 or a 16-hour day. It's just that end goal and the desire to have that balance, and hopefully technology will help us all get a little bit closer to that each in our own way. So your practice is a fantastic example of how you've been able to expand professionally and personally, and like you said, expand is a great word for it. Being able to grow in so many areas, utilizing the tools that we have today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And so that actually concludes our interview for today. We've really enjoyed our time speaking with you, and use your practice as an example of how one can really mold a practice and change the way that they work with their clients using technology. So thank you so much for your time, Dawn.
Thank you.
No problem.